Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lifter. My name is Charles McGillivray and as always I'm joined by Jess Keble and Simon Stacey. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. Before we get going, let me just remind everyone, please follow us on social media. Please subscribe on all our platforms so you get access to our content as soon as it's released. How you both doing?
Good, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Good. Get over well, they keep doing it to us, this team, don't they? They keep leaving it late.
Never say die, eh? That's the attitude they've got now. Doesn't matter how far behind or if they're not playing well, they always seem to get across the line in the end, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I think when they're at their best, they just have this underlying belief in what they're doing. You know, they really believe in their process. They really believe that they can beat anyone. They really believe in everything. That, you know, if they go through what the process is, their systems, their structures, they'll score tries. It's unwavering, their belief. That's when we're at our best. Class, absolutely class.
Yeah, it was one of those weird games, wasn't it? It's like, I think when Finn went off, we stopped playing. I know that Sarri's up their game, but I think when Finn went off, we stopped playing our game. Because we absolutely annihilated them for the first 10, 15 minutes. And then, I'm not saying that Ferbs isn't on the same level, but it's just different type of player. Finn obviously does something different, and he just, I know they obviously had to up their game because obviously it's their ground, it's their big game, and they obviously up for it. But you look at some of the players for player, I don't think I'd swap one player for any of theirs.
No, I wouldn't swap any of them. But I don't think it was necessarily that they upped their game. I think losing Finn was massive because of what it led to was a loss of territory. Right, so we couldn't put our game on the pitch because we couldn't get into the right areas of the pitch. They won the territory game pretty much throughout, and so what it meant was we were constantly in our third. Constantly, we went through unbelievable spells of defence, keeping them out. But they won the territory, but then they were god awful. I mean, they're one of the worst attacking sides I've ever seen. Like, generally, the ability to get a pass from one side of the pitch to the other, almost incapable of doing it. So, like, they were constantly into our end, and then not being able to do anything with the ball, so going nowhere, and then we couldn't turn the screw, get into a position where we could then put our game on the pitch. And because whenever we had an attacking option, we seemed to either score or get held up or, you know, really stretch them. But we just couldn't win that territory game for such a long period. And it's funny because Faz went off and suddenly we could. You know, like the two fly halves that started the game, leaving the pitch was fundamental in the actual outcome, I think.
Yeah. It was a weird one though, wasn't it? And bloody hell, JJ, you need to play that. Was it Miley Cyrus song? He came in like a wrecking ball. He was literally just taking people out as he was flying down the wing. And if he'd literally, I think the second one, if he'd passed it, we would have scored. But fair play to him for holding him up because I don't think I'd want to be underneath him.
Yeah, I think with JJ.
No, I was going to say, I think the first held up call, like, I think he and everyone else thought he'd have enough momentum to get it over the line, and so you can kind of forgive the held up one. But the second one, he should have never tried to get that over the line himself. Like I said, he should have offloaded it. I should imagine the coaches were probably like, "What are you doing?" Like, he had his back to the line, and it was like, "You're never gonna." But the first one was, I mean, I still think he brought like so much impetus on it when he came on, though. Like the front foot ball that we got, and like I said, like the ability to kind of break through, like drastically improved when he came on. But I think you're right about Finn. I don't even think it's necessarily that someone isn't as good as someone else. It's just like we've mentioned before, you spend your whole week training in certain systems and then you have to shift your whole back line around, you know. So Litchfield's all of a sudden on the wing. You've had to move Ram, was it, to fullback. Ferbs comes into 10. Like, yes, all of them can play those individual positions, but you always notice that they're much better when they've been training in that system for a week. When the plan was probably always to play them in that position, they do a bit better. And I think it's just, you just lost it. Also, just what Finn gives us, generally speaking. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's the control of the game.
It was just slightly missing. But I got to say that even still, like bringing dingers on, like there was some absolutely lovely hands from him and Rory, like throughout the game. Like some of the passes, we've said it before that I think Rory's got some of the nicest hands in the game, and I don't think that Dingwall can be that far behind with some of the passes and offloads that they put in. But yeah, I think losing Finn just took a little bit of the momentum out of the side, because like you said, we were very much on top for those first like 15-20 minutes until unfortunately he had to go off. But yeah, it was we all of us had said, didn't we, that we all thought it was going to be close. That always seems to be the way with Sarries. Like we've had them home and away for the past few seasons, but they've all been close encounters. And I certainly think that Sarries have played better than they have in the previous week, certainly. Like I thought they were probably going to improve. But it's all of them were away victories this weekend. Like all fixtures. Weird. But including, the 3 where you take your game to a big stadium and then you don't win. It's like it's great for growing. Yeah, it's great for growing the game. Don't get me wrong, like, but there's probably got to be a part of those teams that like we'd much rather play in our own ground when you're playing tough opposition. But I mean, I was there. It was such a good day out. It's such a great stadium. It was such a good atmosphere. Like it was pretty even, I'd say, like fans wise. Like it wouldn't have felt like a home game to Sarries, and probably felt not an away one to Saints as well at the same time. Like, it was a really good experience, like fan wise, in terms of like the noise that they made. But yeah, it was a funny game. I suppose I don't know if I'd say concern, but I'll use that word anyway. But like the concern, I suppose, is that I feel like other teams that are near us have like improved, and we've maybe taken a slight step backwards. So we definitely need to try and get back to that game and putting it on the pitch for like extended periods of time, because like we've got Bath and Exeter next up, who are second and third, so those games are going to be absolutely massive. So hopefully we get some people back. But I'd certainly say that being able to win those games in the last moments is still a really important skill to have, because you're going to have close encounters with teams anyway, and that seems to be the opposite side of us to Sarries. Like Sarries have lost quite a few of those games at the end, and we've won quite a few of those games at the end. But there's clearly a difference in belief and confidence levels kind of between the two sides as to whether they can get over the line.
Yeah. I mean, a few things to unpack there. I mean, first of all, going back to JJ with the ball carrying, right? First of all, the second one, there were about a 4-man overlap. They should have given him the ball. They got like, let's give it to JJ. Go on, watch this.
Yeah.
They got 2. It was clearly a planned move, and I was like, going, oh my god, they're going to give it to JJ. This is going to be great, right? And everyone could see what that was happening, but obviously so could Sarries. So then they had about 4 men on him, and everyone else, all the space was outside. So they should have given it out the back, and they'd have walked it in. But the thing with him is having JJ run at you, I think must be the most ego leveling thing of all time. Right? The concept of like I'm gonna go and smash this bloke, and I'm gonna put him banging backwards, etc., goes out the window, and suddenly all you think about is, right, can I get under the ball? And it's actually possible to do it. So like, he got held up twice, not because he didn't lose the collisions or do anything wrong. It's just because the defender had one focus: get under the ball.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it was
all
funny
you're doing
as well
when he's running at you is trying to offload the tackle, get someone else to make it, or be a road, a bump in the road, or go bump to the ball. Sort of.
I mean, that first one, I think it was Elliot Daly, right, that he just shoved onto his backside, and I was like, Daly's got like probably 7 or 8 years on him, lots more caps. There's 100th cap for Sarries, for example, and I think got nearly 200 for Wasps. And he just sat him down and just barreled right past him. So it's definitely like a leveler in terms of kind of where people are. But the thing is, you feel like he's like so close to being there, right, to having like the kind of skill level alongside just the fact that he is ginormous, that he's so close to being that kind of all-round complete player that just would terrify you, like from both perspectives every time he gets on the pitch. Like there's still a little bit of like fine-tuning to do there, but like you said, he's only just come here, and he's obviously coming into a system that probably suits his play and doesn't seem to be something he's been able to do at previous teams. So he's still got a little bit of kind of work to do of like, okay, I want to play like this. This team is a great setup for me. I'm still maybe 75% of the way there, not 100% of the way there. But like, you also feel like he'll definitely get there. And so, the kind of, there's a terrifying prospect in there of like what he's going to be, what he might be like, a season or two down the road.
Yeah, 100%. And then that leads nicely into the next point you made, which was about the centres and how all of them are so well along that road and performing
Yeah.
unbelievable levels. Like Hutchinson, straight from the kickoff, that return kick that he put through, and that massively gave us the advantage. But his hands for the first Litchfield try,
Yeah.
unbelievably fast and silky. Dingle taking the ball to the line, the little double pump, reading, pulling the defence apart to put Litchfield through for the winning try. Those two, and then obviously Litchfield, just like we said it last week, didn't we? Like if there's a few bits that if he irons them out, what a player he's going to be. But those three were excellent
He was
in that game.
Yeah.
Litchfield for me was I think our best player. He was everywhere, wasn't he? He was all over the place and massively underrated. Again, like quite a few of our lads are.
It's hard because he's playing behind, Hutchinson, Dingwall, and Bremen to a lot of the season as well, and they're all international standard. And it's like we said he needs that run at games. If he can consistently play in this side with this team, he's just going to get better and better and better. I think. I think with him it's very difficult to look at him and go, or very easy to look at him and go, he's massive, right? So he's a crash ball specialist, but that's not really his game. His game is that outside break, hitting soft shoulders, and then turning a sort of half gap into a full on line break. And he's so good, and it's like selection for next week. Where do you like? Wow,
Yeah.
we can get into that in a bit, but yeah. And we mentioned there as well about Furbank. That man is so talented. Like the some of the skills and the soft skills that he does, and makes them look so easy. Like to be fair, on one of those skills, towards the end of the game when everyone's heart was in their mouths and you were just like basically not breathing for about 5 minutes. There's a bit where it gets kicked through and Ram just taps it back from the restart, and he tapped it like perfectly back into Furbank's hand. But the audacity to do that, to slap the ball back, I saw what actually happened. Actually, what happened is that he slapped it back, it went to ground, and Saracens player picked it up, scored, and won the game. Like I think we're living in a dream world where that didn't happen, because oh wow, the skills that we showed compared to Saracens, who generally couldn't pass or catch for most of the game. The skill levels on Saints show was so good. I thought we were excellent. I really do in terms of putting skills on the pitch.
Yeah,
I mean, I think what really sums it up is that last 10 minutes where they were just basically camped on our line. We kept giving penalty after penalty. They went for touch a few times. They tapped and go a few times. They didn't score anything. Like it also just, I also think that it's kind of like the in some ways the defense really shaped up, like in that sense. Like yes, they gave penalties away through ill discipline, but they kind of made up for it by making sure they didn't get any points, on the board. And I think that 10-minute period in the second half really set us up to still be in the game in the second half, which I think was really, really important, because they should have scored probably 5 times over and they just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, we put pressure on their handler and stuff, but how many passes did just go to floor for them? Or one pass just went into touch. There wasn't a player 10 foot away from them. Like
Daly threw a pass into touch, and there wasn't a single person there.
Yeah, what do they do all week? Like
he did not have a good game, did he? He's just signed a new contract, hasn't he? As well, he's got 2 more years. He's been a great player, but blimey, a lot of their old guard didn't play, did they?
He's not been signed for his catching or his passing or his tackling. That's
probably his 60-meter kicks.
60-meter kicks and just give him the ball and let him run into open field. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I thought also we were lucky at that end of that game when I think Saracens just lost all sense of composure, all sense of they had time left, all sense of positioning on the pitch. Like I think they were so frustrated in the fact that they'd had so much ball and done nothing with it that it just boiled up to complete insanity from them. Like some of the decisions Itoje was making, giving away penalties to us at the end, was just not nonsense. Like he was rather than doing things and influencing the game from a effort or a skill or an aggressive point of view, he's just blatantly going beyond the rules, and not even doing it subtly or the stuff he was doing was like you're always going to get caught doing that, and all you've done is give us an opportunity to get possession back and see out the clock. I mean that decision from I guess Ferbs at the end, rather than kick for touch and waste a minute getting down there or whatever, but to give it to Danilo to tap and go. I mean, if in doubt, give it to Danilo, eh? What a lad!
Yeah. Yeah, there was lots of kind of crazy. I suppose lots of crazy things that happened. It was a really good game. Like, but the thing I suppose the thing with Maro is, and I don't want to. I don't know. I feel like we kind of made the point because we made it about England quite a bit, but like he was doing some of that for England too. Like yellow cards for deliberate slap downs and things like just in like the final moments of games, not making very smart decisions. And like England were obviously under lots of pressure within that whole tournament, and obviously you could tell it got to players. But I wonder if Sarries are kind of in the same position. They're not winning games. They're not playing as well as on paper they should be playing, and they're not quite at the level that they want to be. And sometimes it's probably just, sometimes it's just that kind of thing. Is that the pressure kind of tells when you're sort of thinking, we don't want to lose another game again, and in the kind of like final minutes. And yeah, they've got some stuff to work on, and obviously they've got a new setup for next season, so it'll be interesting sort of what happens for them there. But like they've got some really good players, but it just felt like almost like man to man. I just felt like even though the scoreline doesn't show, I just felt like they were comprehensively beaten in certain areas. Like I mean, the best example I can really think of is like Willis has been a really really good player for them, and him going to France is a big loss for them. But I felt like Pollock comprehensively outplayed him from start to finish. Like not even just reflected in the stats. Like the guy got like 3 turnovers, made multiple carries, loads of meters. But I also just think he imposed himself at the breakdown and on the game much more than Willis. So so even they're sort of big game players that even when they don't play very well can still play quite well for them. That was kind of missing for them as well, really.
Yeah, I think with Willis though, if I'm being honest, I thought he was one of their stronger players in terms of he was carrying pretty hard. He was making some breaks. I thought it was a really odd one when they took him off because I thought he was actually a player who might do something for them and had sort of tested us and stretched us a bit.
Yeah,
it's sort of. I think they're being exposed for their at coaching level at the moment. If I'm being honest, I think Itoje does, and I'm not a psychologist or anything like this, right? But it does seem to me that they seem to be in this scenario where they've had such a prolonged period of success that they don't know how to deal with not being dominant, not being the top team in the country, not going on Itoje going on a Lions tour and win it, and you got to look at it sometimes like those teams for a period of time he's been very used to playing for the best team. And teams that are by far the best for whatever reason. And, the Lions sort of playing against, let's be honest, a weak Australia side. But, so it's like, it's almost not used to the adversity, not used to the opposition standing up, fronting up and being better and not knowing how to react.
That's what happens, though, when you have to play on the level playing field when it comes to the salary cap, though, isn't it? Like we spoke about a few weeks ago, you can't have 30 internationals.
It is a consequence. It is a consequence. You look at this Saints side currently, like the group of players that are together are the same or very similar group of players that went through that. Was it 12 losses in a row during that COVID period? They've had their licks. They've learned how to lose. They've learned what you have to do to step up and get better, and the levels you have to go to psychologically, physically to be successful. And like when you've played in a team that has had unlimited levels of skill and talent, it's like, and it's you've not got those brain scars of having to put yourself into that deep dark place to get the results that you need to get. That just seems to be the case for I think Sarries, and they need a refresh and a scrap, and there's such a talented group. They've got all the resources to come good again that I think they will. I just think it's a complete rebuild, isn't it?
Yeah, but you say that, but they're going backwards, aren't they? They're going back to Brendan Venter. I don't see that as personally. I know he was successful. I don't see that as a positive move forward because he's quite old school and he was there before. He's sort of. I'd always say you never go back to another coach. I just don't think it ever works. It may do for them, but just seems an odd one for me.
No, I agree with you. I think it's a strange one, but I think the logic is going back to basics. You know, they built their success around becoming a physical, big defense, kick chase team, right? And that was Brendan Venter's MO. That's what he brought in. Fill the forward packs with South Africans, kick the hell out of the ball, and really be aggressive, right? And so, and also don't care that you're hated. Yeah, he couldn't care less.
No.
You know, and so part of me thinks it is the right thing to do, to go back to basics. I think if Saints were in that scenario, it would be right, go back to the foundations of what this is built on, which is academy, young talent playing with freedom to go out and express themselves. Like that has become the DNA. You know, the DNA, they talk about it constantly, don't they? Saints DNA. They've detailed what it actually means. But I think Saracens have got the same. They need to go back to it. It's just a very different approach.
The game's moved on now, though, isn't it? The game's totally different to when he was coaching before. It's so much quicker. I don't see it work, but hey, it's not my club, so I don't really care.
No, I don't. But I don't think it is different. I think the game. Yeah, a lot of teams try and play the game differently, but I think there's still space for. I mean, look at Leicester. They're doing all right, aren't they? And they don't play it. They don't play the way we do. You know, there is room for success in playing that physical aggression. Even your coach, kicking commentators off your pitch before the game and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There's place for it in the game.
Yeah.
I think you're right about the difference between the teams, though, right? So you could even see it on the pitch. So, like, we get a pass and it doesn't quite go to hand or whatever, and we're sort of laughing it off and we're ready to go again. We're like, right, that didn't work. Let's laugh it off. We'll go again. Daly throws that pass into touch, and the players were fuming at him, and they do other things wrong, and and I don't want to perpetuate the stereotype of Farrell always being angry because I think he's super nice off the pitch, but on the pitch he actually does kind of live up to that, unfortunately. Like, shouting at players when they're doing things wrong here, there, and everywhere, and yet you don't see that on our side because we did some things wrong during that game, and yet you don't see the same levels of like intense frustration. Like, there's a much better camaraderie on the field. I'm not saying that Saracens don't have good camaraderie off the field, but on the field something isn't quite clicking between different people. So you can definitely see the kind of the differences there in terms of that. We just look like something went wrong. We knew we could do something to rectify it. We could try again and we'd get it right the next time. We didn't quite get the same vibes in the way they were communicating with each other from the Saracen side, despite the fact it was a close game and they really were in it till the end. But you wouldn't necessarily think that sometimes with like the body language that you were seeing.
Yeah, to be fair, to give him his dues though, there was a moment, I'm trying to think who it was. There was a moment when a player, fumbled the ball or, made a mistake, and he was the first one in to sort of pick him up, get him, get behind him.
I think he's
not to worry.
I think he's a great player. Yeah, I think he's a great player, a great person for them to have in that team, to be fair.
Yeah, perhaps as the game went on, and perhaps he realizes different players respond differently to different things. You can probably get into a Daly or a Tom Willis, and because they're senior professionals and whatever. Whereas a Tobias Elliott, for example, might need a bit of a different approach. But I just think they weren't good, but they kept themselves in it. Bloody hell, they kept themselves, and that territory game they took it. We had to stand up and really earn that victory, and you can't leave a pitch with a better feeling than I had. Leave a stadium with a better feeling than I had after that game, because it was a fairly turgid game, but the way we won it, the attitude, the approach, everything you want to see in your rugby team was shown by this great Saints team. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing that was pretty awful though, Big Trev.
Yeah.
I mean, it took 3 men to pick him up, but help him off the pitch. But I don't even understand how he could get it. Yeah, I don't understand how he could hurt his knees. They're made of steel, aren't they? They're just like
Yeah.
one width the whole way down. It's like a girder attached to the end of his body. But yeah, it's that. Hopefully, that's not too bad. It didn't look good though.
No, he was on.
Knees in
He
props
was
are
on
not
crutches.
good.
He was on crutches at the end of in the video where they did the Shoe Army video. He's sat down with a pair of crutches. He's not standing, so
Right.
I don't think it's great. But obviously,
Always
again,
precautionary,
not a medical professional, so I don't know for sure. But I wouldn't say it has the most positive outlook, particularly as the turnaround's obviously it's not a week, it's 6 days, so you have an entire sort of extra day that you don't have, or an extra couple of days that you don't have as well. So it is a very tight turnaround there. Like the same with Finn, with a failed HIA, it's normally a 7-day stand down period. So depending on how bad that is, I don't think we're seeing him on Friday, most likely, because I think that's the rules. So at least I think that means though that we should be better on Friday in terms of people in the different positions, because they're going to have to spend this week in those different systems. Like Ferbs is going to probably be training at 10. Maybe not with Bello, or maybe with Bello. It depends. It depends. It depends, because you also need to have. I suppose the issue Bello has in terms of starting is that he can come on and cover a couple of positions, so it will kind of depend how they see that in terms of that. But like I said, whether they'll be in a better position to know what they'll be able to do, right? Like, so from today, tomorrow, whenever it is, start actually training in the week, like they'll be able to do it in those systems for a full few days, and so it should be better adapted to when that comes in. And it's also a home game as well, so you also just have the benefit of a huge crowd pushing you on too, is always a huge positive. But yeah, I can't see how we do see Finn, because like I said, it's a failed HIA, and I'm pretty sure it's a 7-day stand down period, so I don't think we'd have been seeing him whichever day, but definitely not on a Friday.
No, I don't think we'll see those two 100%, and it might be longer for Big Trev. I mean, thinking about Big Trev as well, like the scrum was probably an area where we did struggle a bit. I mean, Reece Carey had a bit of a odd game in the sense that he had a really good time at scrum time, and he carried a few nice balls, but he also missed about 3 tackles, 2 of which led to tries for us. So it's when you have that big, massive Goliath of a man, and you're not organised enough in defence, it's sort of an easy pickings at some point, isn't it? But scrum was a weird one though as well. And look, we're not here to slag off refs. Like, we try our best not to get into slagging off refs. But Anthony Woodthorpe is not a very good ref. Every single scrum time, you could almost predict before the scrum, right, who's got the ball, they'll get a penalty.
Yeah, he's one of them refs. There's quite a few of them. Whoever's got the ball gets the pen. It happens a lot.
And it became a running joke where I was sat, well, right, Saints scrum, we've got the ball, it'll be a Saints penalty. Vice versa with Sarries. Sarries have got the ball, it'll be a Sarries penalty. Not all of those penalties were correct. And also there were a number of occasions where the team without the ball should have got the penalty, but didn't, and he just reset the scrum. There was a couple of times where Manny absolutely beasted Street. Clearly a penalty. Street went flat on his face a couple of times, and what he did was just reset it, and then they got the penalty the next time. It just makes a mockery of the scrum. Like it makes a complete mockery of it. And the problem we had as well was it was so imbalanced, because Carey was getting the better of Green. Green had a tough day at the office, without a doubt, right? And not surprising, because Carey is huge. So it was a tough one to go and to play longer, play most of the game as well. So but Carey was getting the upper hand, it's fair to say. And on the other side, both Iogan and Fischetti were dominating as well. So you had a real imbalance of the scrum. Neither side was going forward. It was a lot of rotation, and it was often a case of basically whichever side was dominant. The tight heads were struggling. So it depended on whatever side the ball was going in. The referee was seeing that and therefore awarding the penalty for that. But it was happening on the opposite side at the same time as well. So it was like the same. Every single scrum was both loose heads were getting dominance. I don't. It's a real mess.
Yeah.
It gave them a foothold in the game, and I'm not sure.
The one thing I noticed
though.
about the scrum in particular was when Riccioni came on, and there's like maybe 2 or 3 scrums where I was like, he hasn't scrummed straight. He's just gone straight in at an angle. And I know nothing about scrums. It's the one area of the game that I'm like, I couldn't tell you, to be totally honest. I was like, that guy's not scrumming straight. Like, how is that? And that's not Anthony Woodthorpe's fault in that case. He's on the other side. But at one point, they're right by the touchline. So the AR is there. He's like right there. And the guy is just automatically gone straight in on the hinge, on the angle, like, immediately. And I remember thinking, what on earth is going on? And then I didn't watch the game back after, but I saw that apparently the commentators were saying the same thing, that he's just hinged the whole time he was basically on the pitch. Every time there was a scrum, he didn't scrum straight, and it should have been a penalty each time. And it never was. And the AR wasn't calling it, because I think Woodthorpe tend to stood on the other side of the scrum pretty much all the time. And so it just got missed constantly, like by the AR when he was on. And I was like, it's obvious. I said, if I can tell, as someone who, like you said, is not a professional in any sense of the word, and the commentators are telling you it, like, how are they missing something so? And it felt blatant to me as well, that as soon as the hit happened, he turned straight in every single time.
And he was losing the collision as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the problem though. If you haven't played there and you don't really watch it very often, it's so hard to tell. Like, I don't know what they can do. Maybe they could put them on an intensive course for a few weeks with teams and show them how scrumming is, because it is the dark arts, as they call it, and it's very specialised. Yeah. And for referees just to sit there, wait for all the lads to do all that hard work and then just ping a team because the team went down on the wrong side. It just, like Charles was saying, it's a joke, because half the time people cheat. You'll know if you don't know scrums, but there'll be teams that take a step back, don't take the hit, and the team will get a free kick because they've engaged early or they've gone forward. They haven't gone forward, the other team's gone back. And like you said, Riccioni was boring in or hinging in, and it's like, it's blatant, it's obvious. Whereas
I felt like it was like the direct opposite when I watched the game on Sunday with Luke Pearce was the ref, and like multiple times he was like, stop stepping back, you need to take the hit. Like, he seems to have much more of he's obviously much more experienced, I think, than Woodthorpe as well, like, at this stage. Like, but he understands and he knows how to call, and he was telling them, I'm gonna give a free kick if you keep stepping back. Like, there is certain like understandings that I think like more experienced refs have. But there's an AR, like I said, there's an AR on the, like, you should be able to tell if someone is hitting straight or not. Like, it's not a hard thing to, it's not a difficult thing. Straight is straight. Yeah, hinged is hinged.
So there's no law around this, right? But generally the scrum half will put the ball in from the loose head side on the attacking team's loose head. The ball will generally go in from there, and that's how they train. That's where the hooker works from. That's how it works, right? And so the referee will generally stand in that position as well. So therefore, because of the imbalance of the scrums, where the loose heads were generally dominating affairs, the referee was always on the side where the loose head was dominating. So, and because it's whoever's got the ball, he will see the loose head. That team was inevitably always getting the penalty. So it's just because of the natural weird imbalance that those two scrums had, meant he was just ignoring the fact that on the other side of the scrum, the exact same dominance is happening in reverse. And it was frustrating, and it culled a lot of the flow of the game as well, because there was quite a lot of restarts and stuff like resets and stuff like that. But I
was going to say, you need the Brian Moore scrum clock he used to have up on the old Six Nations. He used to time it, didn't he? How much time was wasted on resets.
Yeah, but it's part of the game. Like,
some of them don't need resetting. It's just a quick free kick because the referee's not got a clue what's going on. Just to get it. Like, half the time, what really annoys me is when a team's blatantly put it down and the ref tells the scrum half to play it or the 8 to play it. It's like, no, it's a penalty. Don't play on. Penalty. They've cheated.
Yeah, exactly. That's a mindset, isn't it? Is it a way of resetting the game, or is it a way of imposing your dominance? Like, if in theory, if the ball's gone to the back of the scrum, both scrums have gone down, and it's just a way of restarting the game, well, then actually it's exactly what you want. It's a platform where all the forwards are tied up to attack from. But if it's not that, it's a way of imposing yourself, then you're right. Like, one team has gone down because they're under pressure, they should be penalised for it. But also you get a case of like a scrum will go forwards, but it's just one team's gone backwards. They've not gone up. They've not gone down. That they're actually fine. And you get the referee give the team that's gone forward a penalty for what going forward. It is just
We could literally we could do probably a 3-hour pod on scrums if anyone was interested, but not many people will be. So
no, we better move on. We better move on to looking at Castres, because we unless there's anything you want to cover off against stadium. Enjoy the stadium, Dizzy Rascal.
Oh, I love the stadium. I've always been a big. The thing is, Dizzy Rascal was like big when I was in my teens, so I'm just predisposed to just absolutely love the guy. And to be fair, the crowd seemed to be really enjoying it and getting involved in it, and it was really fun. I just wanted to point out. I know it was Pearson, right? They got man of the match. But I just wanted to pick up on, and I've already mentioned Pollock, who I think I would have personally chosen. But I've also got to pick up on McParland, because I've said it before, like that kid's ability to read a game and be exactly where he needs to be when he needs to be is like unrivaled at the moment. I swear. Like for both of his tries, like he's just there. And
that cheat line.
Yeah, and the player knows it too. Like Litchfield, when he for the second try, the winning try, like Litchfield just knew he would be there. He turned through the ball, knew he was there, ready to go. Like it's just unmatched, I think, at the moment. It just helps obviously that he's quick, and I'm guessing they train.
The dummy to the right helps. Threw Sarries off.
Dingus is as a defender, you're in such a horrible position there, because you're like, if I don't bite on Dingers and he does go through, he's going to score. At the same time, if I do and he passes, they're also going to score. Like, but the dummy was.
Sinti was in such an awful position for that gap. That gap should never have been there.
No, it shouldn't have existed. So you're sort of like I said, he was in a lose-lose situation. Like whichever decision he made, whether he tried to course correct and go for Litchfield, you still opened up the gap for Dingers to go through. And if you go for Dingers, the gap's there. Like he was kind of a lose-lose situation, wasn't he? Really, in that situation. But the dummy was absolutely lovely. Like delay, throw, and then throw it. Like we talked, like I said, we mentioned like their hands, his and Hutch's hands, like throughout the game are like, incredible. But yeah, McParland at the moment, like I think he's probably nearly. I think he's up there with like almost joint top scorer, just because he just happens to just be running the line that he needs to run, like whenever it's great.
Well, Cobus did it, didn't he? Cobus was it top scorer in the league one year, basically running that cheat line up the middle. I mean, he's doing really well, McParland. Like when he's on, isn't he? He's class operator, and the delivery is he's not just one of these scrum halves who is a winger who's playing scrum half, and therefore if he gets opportunities he finishes them, and he's not one of those where it's like he could be a winger or whatever. He's a genuinely quality scrum half with an excellent delivery, and then he's got the extras on top. He's a big lad as well. When he fills out, he's going to be a good big boy as well. So he's still early 20s, and he's tall, skinny lad. As soon as he gets into his mid-20s, he'll put some beef on, and he'll be absolute unit as well as all of that. He's going to become a good player, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The annoying thing is, so the week before, I could see it. I had a vision, McParland first try scorer, and so I had a bet on that, and it came in, and I took up most of my winnings. I put back in the account, but I left a little bit in there. I'll go again. And he scored the second and the third try. I needed to get the first.
Yeah.
But anyway, Dizzy Rascal. I mean, it's a difficult task that doing that performance whilst there's rugby players warming up around you, and the crowd's so far away. I've seen lots of acts struggle massively. I thought he did as good as he could.
Hey, at least no one shoved him. At least no one shoved him and told him to get off and get out of the way. Oh god. That was an unfortunate incident. But like people were going around him at one point. Someone obviously like kicks or throws a ball to Finn and he drops it, and you can see the panic on his face, because he's like, I have to run right next to Dizzy Rascal to pick up this ball. Like during the warm up, like there was sheer panic on his face at one point, because he was like, oh god. But it was. I think it was really entertaining. Like he did like 20 minutes, and players warming up and chilling out and stuff. But it was good. It was a really nice stadium. We didn't realize as well, we got premium seats, and it went into like the most posh like lounge area you've ever been in at a stadium. And I was like, what? How did we end up in here? We were just like, should we be here? But we had seats on the halfway line, so
We went and looked at the longest bar in Europe. I mean, it was just a bar, but yeah, I'd say the food options were good there. They had a nice Korean chicken burger. It was unbelievable. But yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, that's not what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about Castres.
Europe.
Back to the pork roll and a cold Friday night in Northampton.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's gonna be tough, isn't it? It's exciting times though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be good. It's I think Tony Bellew will be jumping at the bit to play against the French as well, won't he? So, like he was the other game. So I don't know. It'll be a tough game without. I'm guessing Manny, because he had a back spasm as well, didn't he? Yeah, I think they said. So he might not be
I figured it had to be an injury because I was like, when he went up, because like we couldn't hear and then like nothing was said, but I was like, that can't have been tactical because nothing.
It was a back spasm.
At that stage, nothing was. Yeah, it was very early, so I was like, oh no. But it kind of depends with back spasms, isn't it? You've had some players, I think, was it Biggo, who had one when he kicked and he had to be out for weeks afterwards. And there's some people that have a small back spasm and they're fine the week after. Like, so that really just depends on that. But like,
it's such a big back, isn't it? Like,
yeah, lots
it
of
depends
places
on how
for
severe.
spasm, I suppose. Yeah.
I think otherwise it would be between him and Fischetti. They're both so good. Either one of them starts, it's class. I mean, I think line out wasn't as strong as it has been against Sarries. They put us under a lot of pressure, but there were a few where we managed to put them under pressure. Lockett and Kemeny were both class. So I imagine JJ comes in to start, but it'll be Kemeny and Lockett alongside him, won't it? Sit at 5 and 6. I'd keep the back row the same. Like you said, Pollock and Pearson were both quality.
Yeah, they were.
Pollock's just class. He's just absolutely quality at that point.
I saw something that I tweeted. I think I tweeted about it like under the video that Saints posted today about it was like, oh, people telling Pollock he needs to concentrate on rugby and then showing his highlight reel, which was literally insane for that game. But and he said, I think the tweet was something like, yes, we do talk about like his impact off the bench, but his energy levels from minute 1 right the way through the game, like multiple turnovers, ripping the ball, turning it over left, right, and centre, like smashing through lines, making meters, I think 13 carries or something like that, maybe a bit more, like, which is ridiculous. Like against like what is a big French outfit, because Castres are quite a physically big French pack from what I can remember from the last. I think we've had them the last like 2 years or something. Definitely last year. They're a big French pack, so you need, I think, that kind of ability to kind of get through them, which is why, like I said, I think JJ as well is a really, really good option. But yeah, Pollock was, like I said, he'd have been my man of the match over the weekend. It was just everywhere from start to finish, and it wasn't like the quote unquote flashy stuff that we normally see. He just did his job and he did it tremendously well. And on that kind of form, I'd be making the most minimal amount of changes. Obviously, we're going to be forced into a few, but I feel like outside of the injury issues, and then who plays there, like I would leave, like I said, that 6, 7, and 8 alone, because I think it functioned really, really well.
Yeah, and do you not think the Chick's got a chance of coming just for his physicality? Because the French packs are bloody massive.
You say that, right? But are we saying Pollock's not more physical?
No, not physical. But it's just they're totally different players. You know that.
Yeah, but they are different players. But like, I genuinely think, and this isn't a knock on Chick because I think he's class, but Pollock is just as physical, plus infinitely fast, plus an unbelievable player at the breakdown. He's not the line-out option as strong as Chick. Chick's a better line-out option than Pollock, but
just a bit bigger. That's all I meant.
Yeah. You look at them, and I can see what you think, right? But then when you see what they actually do on the pitch, and to be fair, I also think in our head subconsciously we're still thinking Henry Pollock as an 18-year-old kid. Honestly, you look at him now as a 21-year-old. I know it's only a few years. He's massive. He's a big lad, right? And it's sort of we've seen the highlight clips of him from when he was like, I don't know, 15, and he was tearing things up. And there's part of us, I think, subconsciously still thinks of him as this tiny little lad who's electric. But you actually look at him and he's filled out quite well. He's big, strong lad.
You also have to remember what happened in the fixture against them last year. He had them on a platter against Castres
Yeah,
the whole game. He
True,
wound
it's
them
French
up
team,
no
innit?
end because
You've got to
Well,
play
the-
him just to wind
the
them up.
basketball.
Yeah.
it wasn't even just that. It was just he played so well, and they didn't know what to do to deal with him, so they just got annoyed, and then it just meant that Henry continued to get one up on them. Like, you know, he would be desperate to get back into that kind of thing again and be like, well, I absolutely like had them last season. Let's get me back in there and do it again, because I think he was a really key part in why they kind of crumbled in that fixture last season. Genuinely, like, you know, if you could say, like, you know, he was a one-man machine against Castres at that point. Like they said, they just absolutely crumbled because they put so much. And I don't think they'd make the same mistake necessarily this year, because it would be silly to do so. But they put so much effort in trying to bring him down because he was getting on their nerves that they just forgot to play the rest of their game. So
You've got to pick him, yeah, because it gives everyone else so much more space on the pitch because they're obsessed. Yeah.
yeah,
I think if we go, like, McParland's probably going to be obviously back in at 9. I think we're guessing Bellew comes in as the the actual 10 at 10. Ferbs will be in at 15. Ram, maybe Slights, Freeman will come in. So it'll be Ram or Slights on the other wing. And then, I mean, I really have no idea where they go in the centres.
Yeah, you'll go Ding. I think you'll go Ding as Hutch, wouldn't you? Unfortunately, I wouldn't drop him because he's been absolutely phenomenal.
So you said you wouldn't drop him. Then who would you pick out of the 3?
Just because he's on form, I would pick Litchfield. I'd go with who played against Sarries, actually, to be fair.
Hutch and Litchfield.
Just because they've been both playing really well, and not fair on Dingers, because Dingers is world class. But
Dingers
you
set
can't
up
drop
the winning try.
Litchfield, but I think they will. I
think
think
Dingers set up the winning try, didn't he?
Yeah, no.
I think,
we love Dingwell, mate. We love him, but
yeah, but
I think to be fair, I think if I was picking, I'd probably have Dingers and Litchfield, because if you're thinking, this isn't anything on Hutch in terms of the way he played, because he was great, but I also think if you have to think that if something, obviously we touch wood, we don't want this to happen, but something else happens to a 10 again, and Ferbs has to go in there. Like, Hutch is a great player in terms of he can do a couple of different positions, so I wonder if Finn's HIA might factor in slightly there. Like, you have Hutch as like a 23 potentially, but like I said, there's so many permutations. Like, which is the right one? Because all of them are the right one. I don't envy that. I don't envy that choice at all. Genuinely,
Litchfield can cover wing, and then obviously Ram can go fullback again, can't he? So it wouldn't really.
That's what I mean. There's like a million permutations.
So many players that can cover different areas. Like Litchfield can cover wing, Freeman can cover fullback. You know, Hutch can play fly half, fullback, wing, send wherever you want him. He can play. It all depends on how they sort of juggle. I think
being Europe, I think they'll play Dingwall, Hutchinson, and it's harsh on Litchfield.
I think they'll play Dingwell, Litchfield, and it's harsh on Hutchinson.
Yeah.
But here's my thinking, though, actually, why I might be wrong is I think against them previously, and often when we play the French teams, we go with a very strong tactic of we're going to run this big heavy pack off the field. We're going to move the ball. We're going to make them run, and we're going to play with a lot of pace. And to do that, you probably want Hutch in the centre because he gives you another kicking option. His ability to move the ball is better than anyone else. And therefore Dingwell might miss out because with that you have a Bellew, Hutch, Furbank axis to move the ball, and therefore then you go, right, who's the best strike runner out of the remainder to balance it out, and that's Litchfield. So I wouldn't be surprised.
It might as well just come down to rotation. So Dingwall was off the bench, and so there's a case just from that angle that he starts this weekend, and that was the plan. Like you said, there's so many permutations about who can play where. I think the only reason I was maybe thinking Dingwall, Litchfield is, like I said, like, yes, you mentioned some of those other players that can cover positions, but you really do have Hutch probably being able to cover 4 if they really needed it. It really, like I said, it really depends what, you know. Whatever partnership they go for will be a really good one. Like you said, whoever misses out of the 3 of them, it's harsh.
Where's the glue? Where's the glue gone? Dingwall's the glue, remember? When we had him on, he's the glue that gels the backs. He's got to start.
But that's the thing. We've literally, the 3 of us have just said 3 different combos.
Yeah.
That's the joy
Like,
of following the club.
Dingwall might be my favourite player, but I'm thinking horses for courses. Lichfield's just had the blinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think if Lichfield got dropped to play against Cass, he needs to. It'd be all right to walk away because, like, what more can he do?
It depends how much as well they do view rotation, because at this point the Lichfields play quite a lot of rugby, so sometimes it just simply comes down that factors into their position that Dingwall hasn't played a lot of rugby, Lichfield has played a lot of rugby. Is it just literally a rest and rotation situation? And that's the way that they have to frame it. It's not that you aren't playing better or you aren't playing at the level, but it's a case of you want all of them to be fit. If we're going to continue, especially with the Prem, and if you want to continue in Europe, you want to keep people like ready to go. So, like I said, there's so many ways they can approach this.
If you don't win, everyone gets a week off next week. So you gotta win.
Yeah.
You say about that though. Remember when we had Rami on? He said none of the boys go, "Oh no, I'm not being played." They all know that if they're not picked this week, they'll play hard in training. They'll get picked next week. So it's not one of them I'm going to leave if you don't pick me. I know what you were saying. It's a joke. I know you were joking, but I know.
I wasn't joking as such, and I know his mentality would not be that. His mentality would be a top-notch mentality. But the point I was making is he played so well. It just doesn't seem right him not carrying him. It's sort of, and the ethos is if you play well, you get rewarded.
But Dingwall played well when he came on, didn't he?
That's the problem.
One of the best players, isn't he? So
I'm just glad I'm not Dowson. I've got to make the choices.
All of them are at a level right now that's just insane. But what do you do? And it's even the same with the wings. Like when you've got all the wings back fit, you have everyone back. You have Tadara, you have Slight, you have Ram, you have Fremo who can play out there. It's like, who do you pick? You have Kakas out. Yeah, it's like who do you pick then in those situations? Like you throw Pater back into the mix with the way he was playing. At some point we're going to get, probably next season, you're going to get to a situation of like, oh God, what do I do? In multiple positions.
We've generally got, I think you generally look at every position that we've said, it's probably going to be that person because they're the on form, they're the player who's in the shirt, they're going well. In the centres, you've got three players who are playing unbelievably well, have all played unbelievably well, and have all played they've all got the shirt. So because it's not like Dingwall came on and Hutchinson went off and we suddenly played really well. We finished the game with the three of them on the pitch, and we've actually got one too many good players at the moment in terms of
pretty much.
You can't make the decision. It's a very tough one, but they've fostered that environment, haven't they, whereby these players are performing so well. That's the consequence.
And we thought maybe not centre specific, but we've ruminated on this before, is how many players are you going to lose because there's such good competition. But like I said, the business they've done this year, the amount of re-signings they've got, people want to be in that environment that has been fostered. The idea of, they seem to obviously really love competition, and yet there's still such positive relationships between everyone there. Like you said, that's definitely the vibe we got from Ram of nobody actually feels that way. Yes, they know there's competition, but that's why they're all playing so well, because we've had that competition and things like that. So yeah, we're in such a blessed place right now. But yeah, it just makes it harder. Like you said, next year when you've got, when you've got some of these players that are going to continue to get even better, we're just going to be like, well, what on earth do we do from 1 to 15? Genuinely, well, 1 to 23. It's what the hell do we do? I don't envy that kind of, but you'd much rather be in that position than a position of we have to play this same 15 every week because no one else is on form, or it's what we've got. You would much rather have this kind of position where even down to third choice in a lot of those positions, you'd be happy if they came on. You wouldn't be concerned, which is a crazy place to be.
We've had that in the past, haven't we? Where literally was it we won't mention the Cardiff European final. We had the starting 15 that was world class, but they were knackered. And then they lost, and now we've got so many teams we could pick, 2 or 3 squads, 23s, and you go, yeah, that team can go and beat them. It's a really good thing to have. Great problem to have.
And a team of leaders as well. You think back to that 2011 team where we were Dylan. Dylan was we were the embodiment of Dylan. and then obviously he got like knocked out within 10 minutes and played the whole game with a concussion and didn't know where he was, and that caused all its issues. Like we fell apart because Dylan wasn't Dylan, you know. So like we're in such a good spot. So let's move on. Get to some predictions. I mean, I can tell you. So going back to last week, we were all within the margin, and none of us got a try score.
Yay!
It's the first time I think that's ever happened that we've all got within the margin. Because it's probably the first close game we've had in about 2 years. But yeah.
It's just the history of playing then, isn't it? Like we've had this multiple times, that it's always within like a very small margin. But yeah, this week will be interesting. Like I'm just looking at the top 14 table now. Castres 8th, we're first. So table wise, there's a big gulf, I would say. But I don't know how. I don't know what that will be like at the.
Making all the eggs in one basket.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas we're still in the situation of, you know, it's a difficult one with us in Europe at the moment, because if we do get through it, it's probably just away from then on, like most likely. So yeah, it's a very different way.
We need them to up the road to do us a favour, don't we? We need the team that we just beat to beat Bath.
Yeah, which I would put at a very low possibility. I mean, anything can happen, don't get me wrong, but I'd put that at a very small percentage of that actually happening. So, you know, it's a difficult one of like, we've got a much more difficult European run-in than we have for the past kind of, well, definitely last season anyway. And the season before, where we got 2 home fixtures leading up to the semis. Whereas, like you said, Castres are in a position of like, I mean, how many games have they played? They've played 20, so they're nearly at the end of their season, aren't they? In their 8th. So they literally have nothing to play for on the home domestic front. I still think that we just, you know, experience from the past 2 years, I just think on paper and on the pitch, we're a much better side than them.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I expect us to do well. I mean, like you said, we do need them up the road to do us, not them up the road, actually. We need them we played at the weekend to do us a favour, to give us a good run into the fight. But there's also, you know, if we can beat them away at Bath, well, we've been there, we've done that. So it's worth the shot. But so thinking about this week, predictions, Jess, you're up first.
I'm trying to think of what the scoreline was when we played them last year. It was pretty big, wasn't it? I think we put really big scorelines on them. And I think Friday night under the lights, I don't know why it would be any different. So I'm going to go... I'm going to go 45... 12.
And
It's literally blocking numbers out of it. I'll take McParland, because at this point it's basically a given. Which now I've said that, it won't be a given, but for now we'll treat it as if it's a given.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll go 34-18. And I'll go Tommy.
Oh man. I thought I was going to get lucky
every time I said Tommy, he scored. Remember that?
I thought it was going to... Oh, my God, I'm going to pick Thurston and get a choice of Tommy. That's what I was expecting. I thought it was going to happen then. I will go 36... 36-18. And I will go with... Litchfield. Come on, let's back the boy. I mean, I expect now if he dropped, and if he's dropped, I'll go Furbank. But
or what he'll do is he'll pass to McParland multiple times and he'll get in instead.
Yeah. Well, which I'll happily take. Yeah.
To be fair, we'll happily take it. Happily take getting through. So.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, well, thanks very much. It's another good chat. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. Please remember to follow us on socials, and please subscribe to us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts from. I've been Charles, Jess has been Jess, Sam has been Simon. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye.